Welcome back to Authentically Parenting. So let's talk about screens. Screens aren't the real problem. I know that probably sounds strange coming from someone talking about screen struggles, but stay with me for a minute. Because I think something much deeper is happening with our kids right now. And honestly, once I saw this in my own parenting, I couldn't unsee it. Hi, I'm Jahanvi Shah. I'm a certified conscious parenting coach and a founder of Authentically Parenting, where we talk about emotional intelligence, nervous system regulation, and raising connected kids without losing ourselves in the process. And before we dive in, if these conversations help you feel seen, supported, or help you understand your child in a deeper way, I'd love for you to subscribe, like this video, and share it with another parent who may need this reminder today. And today's actually really exciting because my session inside the Purpose Driven Mom Summit is officially live today. There's so many incredible speakers inside the summit talking about motherhood, parenting, routines, emotional wellness, nervous system support, and real life family struggles in such a practical and compassionate way. And my training inside the summit is called Screen Times Without Power Struggles, a nervous system approach that actually works. And honestly, today's video is a really important conversation leading into that training because I think we'll become so focused on the screen itself that we're really missing what's happening underneath it. So let's dive into it. So let me show you what I mean by that. Imagine your child goes to the playground, and maybe from the outside, nothing major even happens. Maybe another child doesn't let them join the game right away. Maybe someone laughs at them when they miss the ball. Maybe they get overwhelmed by the noise or the heat or the chaos. Or maybe they simply feel awkward socially and don't know how to enter into play. Now, as adults, we might look at that and think, oh, it's not a big deal. But for a child's nervous system, it can feel really big. And the important part is children don't always know how to make sense of those feelings by themselves, right? They don't come home and think, wow, I think I experienced social rejection today and now my nervous system feels dysregulated, right? They just feel something uncomfortable inside. Something feels off, heavy, maybe tight, unsettled. And years ago, there was often a little more space for those emotions to move through naturally, right? Kids stayed outside longer, they talked more, they played more, they got bored more, they moved their bodies more. But now, the uncomfortable feeling barely has time to surface before it gets interrupted. The child walks through the door and immediately reaches for the screen or the snack or YouTube or stimulation. And again, I'm not saying this is to shame screens. I really want parents to hear that because screens themselves are not evil. But I think what's happening in this distraction comes so quickly that the emotion never gets a chance to finish its cycle. It's almost like the nervous system says, wait, something felt hard. But before the body can process it, the attention shifts somewhere else. And when that happens over and over again, children slowly stop learning how to sit with discomfort, understand it, express it, or move through it. So then the next day comes and you say, hey, let's go back to the playground. And suddenly your child says, I don't want to go. And you're confused because yesterday they were excited, but what if a part of their body remembers that uncomfortable feeling, even if they don't fully understand it themselves? What if the nervous system quietly connected playground equals discomfort without ever getting help processing what happened there? And honestly, I think we're seeing more and more of this in children today. Not because kids are weak, not because parents are failing, but because modern life gives us endless ways to escape discomfort before we even understand what we're feeling. And honestly, adults do this too. We scroll when we're stressed. We eat when we feel emotional empty. We binge watch what life feels overwhelming. We stay busy because slowing down feels uncomfortable. So this isn't about blaming children. This is about recognizing the world we're all living in. A world where distraction is always available and emotional processing is becoming rare. This reminds me of a conversation I had with a mom client once. Her daughter had become deeply attached to something that unexpectedly left her life very quickly. And one child in the family cried openly, talked about it constantly, even got angry, showed sadness, but the other child became normal, like nothing happened. Sometimes it went quiet. She laughed, she played normally, went back to routines, stopped bringing it up, and the family started saying, "See, she's okay now." But the mom kept feeling like something inside her daughter hadn't fully settled. Like the feelings had gone underground instead of actually moving through. And as we talked more, something really important came up. The father shared that in his family growing up, emotions were never really talked about much. The belief was kind of, you just move on, right? You stay strong, you don't sit in feelings. And honestly, so many families were taught that, isn't it? Not because they were bad parents, but because many adults were never shown how to process emotions safely themselves. So instead, people learn other ways to cope, sometimes through constant busyness, sometimes through work, sometimes through food, sometimes through scrolling, sometimes through smoking, sometimes through drinking, sometimes through shutting down emotionally. And now we're seeing children growing up in the same pattern, not necessarily expressing emotions, but escaping them. And just because a child stops talking about something doesn't always mean the nervous system stops feeling it. Sometimes the feeling simply gets carried quietly, and eventually those unprocessed emotions often come out sideways later as anxiety, avoidance, emotional explosions, numbing, perfectionism, people pleasing, maybe constant stimulation. Then that could be screens, difficulty sitting with discomfort. Not because the child itself is broken, but because emotions need somewhere to go, right? It can't stay stuck in our bodies. It has to process it. And here is why this matters so much. Emotions are meant to move. A child has an experience, their body reacts. And the nervous system needs support making sense of it. Sometimes through tears, sometimes through talking, sometimes through movement, sometimes through play, sometimes through simply feeling deeply seen by a safe adult, right? That's how experiences get processed. And that's why the nervous system learns that was hard, but I am okay. But when every uncomfortable feelings gets interrupted immediately, what happens is the body never fully completes the full experience. And over time, that can start showing up as avoidance, emotional explosions, low frustration tolerance, anxiety, resistant, shutdown, needing constant stimulation. And parents start wondering, what happened to my child? When often their nervous system has just had a very little space to process life. And honestly, sometimes the shift is much smaller than parents think. Maybe your child comes home from school upset, and instead of immediately handing them the iPad, you sit beside them for 5 minutes first, not forcing them to talk, not interrogating, not trying to fix it, just slowing down enough to notice. Maybe eventually you gently say, "You got really quiet after school today," or "I wonder if something felt hard today." And maybe they shrug at first. Maybe they say nothing, but then a few minutes later, they whisper, "They didn't let me play today." And right there, something important just happened. Their nervous system began releasing the experience instead of carrying it alone. That's emotional processing. And honestly, that moment matters far more than most parents realize. Because children do not become emotionally resilient by avoiding feelings. They become resilient when they learn that I can feel something hard and still be safe. And that changes a child deeply. It's so empowering. And this is exactly why I'm so excited about my training inside the Purpose-Driven Mom Summit that goes live today. Because in this video, we're looking at what screens may be interrupting emotionally. But inside my full summit training, I'm going deeper into what happens when you actually try to set limits. Because that's where so many parents get stuck, right? You know that moment. You say, okay, screen time is done. And suddenly your child melts down, argues, negotiates, cries, yells, or completely shuts down. And then you feel your own body getting tight. Your voice gets sharper. You start thinking, why does this have to be such a battle every single time? Right? This is exactly what I'm teaching inside my free summit session, Screen Time Without Power Struggles, a nervous system approach that actually works. So inside the training, I'll walk you through why these screen time battles happen from a nervous system perspective, why simply being stricter often backfires, how to create boundaries that feel calmer, clearer, and more connected, and what actually helps children transition without constant fighting and power struggles. And I'm also sharing a practical screen time support resource inside the summit to help you begin applying this in your home. And honestly, there's so many incredible speakers inside the summit sharing support for parents in such a real, practical, and compassionate way. So if this video is making you think, okay, I need a deeper way to handle screens in my home, this is the perfect next step. I will leave the link below so you can join the summit and watch the full training today. And if there is one thing I want you to walk away with today, it's this. Sometimes the behavior we're trying to stop is actually covering a feeling that never got support. Think about it. And when we slow down enough to understand what's underneath, everything starts shifting. Not perfectly, not overnight, but deeply. And that's the kind of change that truly helps children thrive. I'm really glad you're here, and I'll see you in the next video.